Before we know it, we're on the last session of our course, our half course, if it may. Though today I did know it because it took me 3 hours, 15 minutes to come from the airport for whatever reasons. So, anyway, um, today is different. Today I'm doing most of the listening rather than most of the talking. I just thought I'll kind of outline what we're going to do today and try and answer most questions in advance. But before we start, if someone has any other questions, happy to take that. First of all, we'll try and keep it a shorter class today. Okay, and that's frankly just me. I need to leave at a certain time. And have to go back today. I'm not staying over. So we'll try and keep it a shorter class. What we'll do is we'll have the presentations, which should take mathematically 1 hour 4 minutes. Okay, but practically, I mean, I don't expect it to be more than 1 hour 20 minutes because we're going to be fairly cut and dried in this one, learning from a few things. So one of the reasons, so you broadly know what you have to do. But let me just lay out why are we doing this? Okay, and why are we doing this way? Uh, so there's an individual project which you all know about, okay, and that will decide the individual grades, etc. Um, this one, the way you think, this one is, I've tried to keep it as quote unquote real life as possible. And for some of you, which we had office hours, you were acutely disappointed because of the real life thing. What is real life? What does real life mean? It means, look, you're either working in a large company, let's say, or a company, or you are planning to do a startup and therefore pitching a startup. Right? Those are the two broad scenarios. Now, if you're pitching a startup, uh, like Urvin was there last time, among other startups, Urvin got 2 minutes to pitch a startup, 120 seconds. That is what Y Combinator gives you. Okay, as on the pitch day. Maybe he did it separately because of the story that he told last time. But otherwise, on the pitch day, it gives you 120 seconds. It used to be 5 minutes. They've reduced it to 2 minutes. And then there's Q&A, which is longer than what we have kept, but because they're going to be investing real money, etc. So actually, as I was telling some of you, 5 minutes is 250% of what Y Combinator actually gives you. And so I know it's sometimes cruel to say 5 minutes, okay, but it will hopefully, despite what you do today, give you the learning that you have to kind of in real life, you have to drill stuff down into its absolute basics, essence of it and the essentials. And there are many things you don't have to say. I'm learning from the couple of courses I've done here before, where people pontificate about the world and never come to the point about their startup. Okay, and so that's why I've kind of kept it lesser than normal. Secondly, if you were in a company and you had this new idea, or you were this young guy, a girl who was told that there's a new tech and the CEO or whoever, division head, blah, whatever, country manager, whatever, wants to hear some stuff about it. One of the things you'll realize is CEOs and country managers or whatever at that level don't have attention spans beyond 5 to 6 minutes. If they like what they're hearing in the first 5 minutes, they'll listen to you. If they don't, if they're polite, then they might listen to you for a few minutes more. Or the secretary will pop in and say, sir, next meeting is happening or whatever, which basically means. So and that's what, you've heard of it as an elevator pitch. This is literally like an elevator pitch. And it's a pretty tall building elevator, 5 minutes. Okay. Usually it takes a minute or so in an elevator. So that's what I meant by the real world thing. And that's why I also refused to tell you whether your idea makes sense or not. If you have three ideas, A is better than B or not, because that's not what you will go tell a VC or a CEO. Whether your idea makes sense or not, whether it should be idea A or idea B or idea C, is something which you will try and find out by talking to other people, not the people whom you'll be presenting to. Okay, that doesn't work. That's not how it works in life. So today's thing is about whatever idea you have. But I think for me, the core learning that I want to impart through whatever little time that we have is that, look, this is how it's going to work. And if you kind of do 2, 3, 4, 5 of these, you'll know, and in the real world again, the presentation is as important as the content. So, how you say is as important as what you say. And it takes a while to learn the how you say. And eventually, you'll be successful when you become better and better storytellers. And so that's like the reason why we're doing it. Now, the rules for today, as you know, 5+3. Saksham, I've empowered him to be, as Hitlerian as potentially possible. So he's going to physically grab the mic from you after 5. If there was a way we could have shut it from the back, I would have shut it from the back. Okay, but there's no way. So we will do a hack of actually taking it like this. Okay, after 5, and too bad if you haven't managed to. So please don't spend time introducing each other, okay, or whatever. Again, remember, in a real life scenario, either a pre-deck would have gone with people already being introduced, or if you're working in a company, people would know who these people are. Okay, so don't spend time introducing each other and whatever. And it's been a great privilege to be here and stuff like that. Okay, just get to the point. So 5 minutes that, and then we'll have a strict 3 minutes of maybe 3 questions, not more than that. Okay, please keep your questions super short. There are no marks in today's class for class participation. None. Okay. So, however, there are marks for how the questions are answered. Okay, rather than how the questions are asked. And if you don't have questions, it means one of 2 things, that either the presentation was useless, okay, or you only question for marks. Okay, so there are no marks for class participation. So I'm hoping therefore that please ask the questions which are really there and which would kind of help in a sense for them to clarify something or whatever. No more than 3. Please keep your questions very, very, very short. Okay, as short as possible. No, I'll ask the question. Okay, if you don't, I'll ask. But you know what? Very frankly, again, in real life, okay, if you don't get asked questions, then that means it was, okay, it wasn't a great thing in real life. Okay, but let's not kind of carry it too far. Okay, so if there's something, or there could be something where it's basically they've said everything, you don't really have anything, that's fine. Okay, you don't have to ask for the heck of it. Okay. As I had kind of, as Vrinda had kind of put it in the class room, that basically I'll be evaluating this on just 3 parameters. Okay, broad, but that's how it's a subjective thing. It's not a deterministic thing. The originality and impact is 1. Okay, the doability is 2, and to me that's very important because we can dream anything. Okay, but is it like something which is practically possible to do? Okay, and it doesn't mean that or in my previous classes, I've had situations where people would need to raise about a couple of $1 billion before they can do it. So that's not going to work. Okay. And the third is, as I just wrote, Gen AI ability, which means that, look, at the end of it, it's a Gen AI course. And so it needs to use that technology. Okay, whatever the idea is. It doesn't mean that it needs to only use that. Okay, there could be, it could be in combination with other things. Okay, but definitely that needs to be one of them. Otherwise, it's a good idea, but it's not relevant for what we're going to do. So we will have this 5+3, 5+3, 5+3. At the end of which, we'll see how much time is left. And after that, I'm just going to do, we just have a kind of an AMA. Okay, we're kind of towards the end of the course, and anything you want to ask me about stuff that you wanted to ask in some of the earlier classes but could not. Stuff about me, if you want to ask me, that's also cool. Stuff about you, if you want to ask me. Okay, that, what should you do, not do, whatever. Okay, so we'll just keep it super, and if maybe there's nothing, then there's nothing. That's also cool. Okay. So yeah, so that's it. And all the best to everyone. Any questions? No. I think you're the first team. Okay, lovely. Please come, please. Uh, maybe we can ask that question after this as part of the. You had a question on that, right? Okay. So after these, we'll have to when we have the. So section, you will tell them when to start. Yeah. I love you. Continue. Yeah.
So yeah, let me know when to start. Can you guys hear me? Yep. Yep. Okay, guys, our presentation is about generative AI in games, and we want to make games more immersive using generative AI. The best way we thought to do that was to make it a dev tool which can help you seamlessly integrate LLMs into games. Next slide. First, the gaming industry. The gaming industry is huge in a mature market like the US. It's larger than movies and music. So it's a pretty huge market. It's slated to be about $300 billion by 2026. So it's a pretty huge chunk we're targeting. Next slide. So just how the product works. Basically, the product is an extension that you can integrate into existing game engines like Unreal or Unity and use it to sort of code up any workflow using LLMs that you want. You can use small on-device models or large cloud-delivered models, and you can integrate your own knowledge base, customize different character personalities model-wise within just a drag and drop flowchart model. That's how we envisioned it. Next slide. We have a go-to-market plan for this. So we have a cool value proposition. You can use multimodal stuff. So you can talk to the LLM within the video game. You can obviously write text-based prompts. So there are basically infinite combinations which the game can generate. Our target segment is AAA games, so large game studios. These could be either online or offline. So mostly everything except basic puzzle games like Candy Crush and Tetris is covered. You can have it in commentary for like F1 and FIFA games, or you can have it like in story-based games where you can just talk to it. Our pricing strategy is also it's an enterprise pricing model, so it depends on the type of game. If it's an online game, then it's a subscription-based model. If it's an offline game, then it's a one-time use on-premise deployment type of strategy. Next slide. Continuing the go-to-market thing, how we market and how we sell is we go to industry events where all these game developers hang out. And how what about data security? That's not a concern in offline because all of the data is being processed on your device. Online, basically, we use enterprise plans where your data is not being used to train the LLM further. We have a feedback loop and support. Basically, we want to get customer feedback directly from the customer so we can improve the product on our end. So people playing games with the LLM integrated into it will be able to sort of give feedback to us so we can improve our product. Next slide. So this is just an example of what this will look like. Can you play the video with sound? Okay, I don't know if there's sound, but basically it's a video of a person talking to an NPC within the game. So you can walk up to any NPC. It's an LLM which can recognize.
Excuse me. Can you up आवाज थोड़ा?
It's an LLM which can recognize your voice, right? So you can talk to this person. Basically, what they're saying is the gamer just walks up to a random NPC and they have a very pessimistic outlook about life and sing about how everything's going to shit in the game. Next slide. Another cool use case we envisioned. Yeah, sure. This was about doing co-ops in like games like Call of Duty or maybe GTA. So right now for co-ops, either you have to do online multiplayer, right? But when we integrate an LLM into a game, you can have like a computer generated co-op partner. You can talk to them in natural language, tell them what to do, help you support with missions. And this is basically, I think, a modified GTA mission clip, but this is what we're envisioning. That's it. That's the end of our presentation. Thanks.
Wow. How many minutes? I think that you reversed it to 3 plus 5. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I told you. 3 plus 5. Anyway, we have 5 minutes. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, maybe one there and then here. Yeah. Yeah, well, why don't you just ask?
Right. So there are different types of models, which is what we talked about also. You can use small on-device deployment. So there's something called Mistral and Zephyr, which can work on your phone. Or if you want something more complex, you can just query an API, right? You don't need to deploy the model on your laptop or on your PS. You just need to have an active internet connection, which all games anyway do. So just your voice is being transmitted over the server and you get a response from this cloud.
Someone here? Yeah. Then we'll come to you.
So we are not developing the model. We're just developing a wrapper, an extension that lets you connect to any model you want. It's basically like an API, like a wrapper you can code up in a week. The model is something you choose. You can choose to use OpenAI's ChatGPT or choose some open source model. So we're not developing any model. Also, we are not really dependent on any publisher. We are using an extension to an open source game engine, something like Unreal, which powers PUBG and multiple other games. Something like Unity, which is one of the most popular game development engines. So it's not really, maybe developers like Rockstar or Bethesda, which use their own engine, can make their own version of the tool. But that doesn't undermine our business because it's an open source extension, which we like. It's like an open extension which we release on the marketplace for that. I think there are filters already there, right? Like there is a filter running on top of the large language model, which filters out any word that is undesirable. Voice chat, global voice chat, and all of these games already exist. So that has already been solved for in a way because in global voice chat also there are filters which record your voice, penalize you for harmful inputs, etc. I mean, yeah, that depends on laws also, right? Like you can't store kids' data, etc., etc. So that is a case by case thing.
Anyone else? I just had one question. I just had one question. Have as you were doing your research on this, work on this, did you find anyone did you find stuff which is already happening, stuff which is launched, happening, etc.?
We came across one CNN article, but it was more about the potential of sort of gaming things. There are companies which are looking at integrating Gen AI into games, but they don't cover all of these topics. So some companies are maybe looking at like text-based gameplay, maybe improving just NPC interaction. But we have ramped up like the co-op use case or the F1 commentary or FIFA commentary use case.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. Oh, you had a question. Okay, do we have time? No, no time. Thank you. Also for sticking to the time and how. Okay. Okay. Cool. By the way, I think during the last bit, I'm going to also do some commentary on the various ideas presented. He's the man.
Hello everyone. So recently I was at an environmental studies course field trip at the Yamuna floodplains, and I was really inspired by how tech enabled the farmers are being. It was not just the UPI that they have at their mandis, but also solar panels that they installed in their homes because there was absolutely no electricity. This got me to think, when is there going to be adoption of AI, generative AI, in the farming space for the farmers that we have? And this got me to think of the idea of AgriDost, which is our app. So, what are we solving for? We looked at a few pain points that they have, and disease identification is something that's really commonly done by them on Google using Hindi voice search. So, that's going to be part of our app. Lack of guidance about where to procure seeds from, where to procure fertilizers from, unpredictable hazards like weather mapping. Some of them are not enabled enough to search for that and know what's coming. And lastly, effective planning, how to effectively use the space and the farm that they have to lay out crops. Next slide. Our target audience for the app that we'll have is obviously primarily farmers, which is about 10% of the Indian population by terms of workforce. And we also think that our technology can be used for urban consumers, especially in cities like Delhi or cities in US and the UK where they have home gardening. So the same technology can be available, but right now we'll focus on farmers. Next slide. And lastly, the market, as we said, there's over 120 million people involved in agriculture in India, and it contributes to around 14% of our GDP.
Right. So moving on to the features of our product. So we have 6 features here. We basically the main technologies that we use are image analysis, image generation, and text generation, right? And so with disease analysis, you have to take multiple pictures of your plants, and with by image analysis from a proprietary database, we can see that hey, this is the disease that are occurring with the plant. Then we can do plant growth and forecasting again, where you can take pictures of your plant. Then our app can generate images of what your plant will look like in XYZ days, say like 5 weeks, and then also give you a forecast on other stuff like what other factors might be affecting, say weather, etc., in the due time. Then you have crop cycle planning. So that gives you like you take pictures of your this match with basically farmland planning. And then what happens is like you take pictures of your field and then you can generate crop patterns, what crops to grow together, etc. These suggestions generated by our app. And then finally, there's vernacular language and dialect support. So like we give, as we know, the audience is going to be broad. The user support base is going to be broad. So we have like multiple language support in multiple languages and vernacular. So this is a UI, and this is how it starts. You sign in, and I think there's a video running. So like this is the home page. So you can chat here. There's your daily progress, and then there's a chat service. So I can upload images, and these are major features. So going on again, more UI slides. And so these are images of say like pictures like you can upload into app, and so like the analysis isn't shown here, but like you can take these pictures and then it will generate. Continuing, these are the home profiles. See the chat service. You can see here. This is the home page that we have. Like you can see like basics, crop status and history, what the crop trajectory would be like, and other doubts you can ask. Continue. So like, but then you'll say, what competitors do we have in this space? So like, there's one app that we found called Kisan AI, which is basic, just generic, like chat GPT for like farming, but it's not at all trained or anything. So it's just giving a generic answer. We asked them like, hey, where should I sell my cabbage crop? But the answer is like local markets, wholesale markets, etc. It's very useless info. So what we offer you is like direct information. Say like in this question of you would ask, say, so okay, there's a local mandi next to you, XYZ distance away. You can sell here. These are the prices you're getting for the crop. Okay, next. So this is what we'll do. We'll give you detailed information and detailed targets. Now, what is a primary business model? We have 4 main revenue streams. The biggest revenue stream that we have is selling data to agriculture firms, fertilizer firms, etc. So they get more data about the detailed data about the user base. We get affiliate products. So like we can when people ask about suggestions of products, we can recommend products, and so the firms can ask us like pay us money to basically recommend their products and our service. And a freemium model. So like all the chat services are going to be unlocked forever, but say the imaging services and planning service, etc. We'll give you 2 crop cycles to experience that. After that, we'll pay you put you behind a pay barrier. Like finally, we have the APIs, and this can be used for aggregator developers to like say build on a platform.
Right. So we also have a future plan for our AI. We do want to integrate it into some kind of a super app, sort of like what Paytm and Uber uses, to create something that farmers can use for end-to-end execution.
Lovely. Super. Thank you very much. That was like perfect time. Yeah, Arindam. And then we'll come to. There seem to be the same old questioners. Let me see if there's somewhere else beyond. Okay, let me. Yeah, Arindam.
LLMs, but the thing is, we're training those LLMs specifically data set. Like we're finding data sets that are critical. We're training a specific application, and because of that, so like we are using basically widely used LLMs right now, say Llama and then OpenAIs. So like we are not worried about that factor.
There's also a very important integration of visual tools here rather than just chat based. So that's going to be a very integral part of the whole solution.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, sorry.
First of all, we're using image and audio. So what our plan is, you can use audio, you can speak in vernacular languages and specific dialects that is supported by our product, and therefore that won't be an issue. So you speak in your own language and it speaks back to you, which also takes part in your. Just to add, latest data, which of course I don't really have the data, but from whatever I've experienced, farmers do actually know how to really use smartphones and experience everything on smartphones. So I really don't think that's going to be an issue for us at all.
Okay. Well, we're done.
One last thing. Okay. 10% of this population is of the Indian population is made comprised of farmers. About 600 million people have phones. So using that guesstimate, we can assume that 60 million people have smartphones. So we're targeting those people first, and thereby it also gives incentive to the governments to develop technology.
We have another question or we don't? Okay. Yeah, maybe her, and then next time I'll prioritize you. Okay. I was just keeping the question short.
Sorry, just adding to that, it's not there to replace these communities, but also help them grow. It's supplementary to that, right? So all of
Lovely. Oh. Ah. Okay. There's a bit of an alpha male behavior happening between these two. Yeah. Hey, thank you very much, guys. As you're going, have you heard of Jugalbandi? Okay, we'll talk about it. This is group one. Okay.
Start. All right, we're group one, and here's a startup that we're going to be pitching. It's called Rayfi. Right. So you're a retailer, and here are a few statistics that you should keep in mind, right? 67% of your customers leave stores because of a lack of timely assistance, and 50% of them prefer to use personalized self-service kiosks. Now, how as a retailer, like how do you solve this? How do you best represent your inventory to customers and make sure that they have the flexibility to choose outfits efficiently? So enter Rayify. Our product is a smart mirror with inbuilt AR and AI image generation technologies that showcase the entirety of the brand's catalog, offer a virtual try-on by overlaying outfits on shoppers, as well as guide shoppers in choosing their own look based on their preferences. So our target market, as we mentioned, is retailers who want to, one, decrease empty-handed walkout rates in their stores, and B, make their in-store experience seamless, interactive, and personalized. So we've prepared a short product demo to show you how the mirror is going to work exactly. So as you can see, Tanisha is now being scanned by the mirror, and she's going to choose which occasion she's dressing for, which is a formal occasion. She's also going to choose from a bunch of color palettes that are available. And the mirror is now going to give her like a set of 4 options, out of which she really likes one and wants to see how it looks on her. So as you can see, it's overlaying the outfit on top of Tanisha. Right, so this is how it looks. And as you can see, Tanisha, who was first wearing a full sleeve t-shirt, is now just in this. How did we do that? We will get to that later. So the users also have an option to check whether they're satisfied or not, which she is. Look at how happy she is.
Okay, to cover a couple of the USPs that we have, in terms of the retailers, we provide a reduced store storage for people that go to the store, allow them to be able to showcase more of the catalog with less space at all, right? In terms of the shopper, we offer them a personal stylist with tailored treatment without like sort of and to both these present the entire catalog, giving people more options and also retailers' sites. In terms of the generative AI component, here's how our product works, right? First, as you saw in the demo, the smart mirror guides the shoppers through the selection process based on user inputted prompts. Then we move to generating 4 outfits at a time. So that's the kind of content it generates based on indicated preferences with each consumer. And then we move to overlaying the kind of outfit on the consumer in store. This involves overlaying skin wherever necessary, keeping the body type, skin tone, and size, etc. in mind, as we saw Tanisha's demo as well. In terms of adjusting, the mirror incorporates temperature adjustments for maximal customization, specifically in the DIY outfit mode that we offer. We did a preliminary SWOT analysis and we found that one of the things we have over others is a first mover advantage because we combine AI and AR in a way that allows customization on spot. We also allow a feedback loop for manufacturing, like so processes within the supply chain can also improve. In terms of weakness, we found that like setting up costs will initially be slightly high for this technology, and also technological knowledge gaps within people within store would be high. We think, however, that the ability to be able to expand internationally as well as allow for technological iteration and innovation should solve for some of the weaknesses. In terms of threats, we think there are reputable competitors like Zero and that do things like this. However, the like benefit we have is combining AI and AR as a potential one. Finally, we also thought about like India's undecided AI regulation. That also segues into what ethical considerations we had in mind when designing this. We thought of data privacy and security as one big thing because we thought that keeping track of global AI legislation would be important in order to ensure that we're compliant. Also, the DPDP Act in India in 2023 found that the general model of our AI is compliant with that as well. The next thing is AI bias, of course, because it's a product that takes like customization based on like user input and like scans your body type, etc. We ensure that implementing test-retest protocols will be better and leveraging synthetic data to like mitigate the bias. Finally, we think it's doable, it's original, and it has a spotlighted GenAI component, and that's it.
Nice. Do you have a question? Yeah, okay. And I'll come to you.
What we're also doing is that we're asking customers, like the shoppers who come in, what are you dressing for? What colors do you like? And the suggestions, there's an entire database of like the outfits that from social media, etc., which will be used to then construct a personalized outfit for them.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah, we'll come to you. I'll come to you after this. Yeah, sorry.
It sounds like a great idea, but from what I have, all the knowledge that minimal knowledge I do have, such sort of softwares do exist where they give you personalized style options, they assess your body type, they do all of that. And they also have features where they have integrated AI or like image recognition into this. So what makes you stand out basically?
So I think what you're referring to here is more AR based. So we tend to combine both generative AI as well as AR. We also one of our features is that the software basically provides personalized original recommendations to the customer based on what they're looking for. Let's say a lens card for example. You have the feature of trying on the glasses. So over there, you yourself have to pick which glass you want, and it basically just puts that on your face and shows you how you look at that. But this, unlike that, actually.
Yeah, maybe we can move to the next two questions. Both of you, why don't you ask the question and then you can answer to both of them? Oh, she asked your question. Lovely.
So the thing is, this is being sold to retailers. They have the option to plug in their entire catalog through the mirror, therefore allowing the customer to essentially like see themselves in it.
See, this is the same question as like, saying, why not just shop online? Why go to the store at all? Right? Do you get what I mean? Because we thought of this, what if you just add like a plugin to the website with a feature where it, like you can do this from home, but then this is not what's happening. What we also show with each outfit recommendation is where that outfit is in the store. When a person is trying it on in the store, they can go to that place, get the outfit, see if they like the feel of it, and see if they want to try it on also. So this is just like a preliminary screening before they do that.
Sorry. Cool. Lovely. Thank you very much. So as I said, I'm not commenting on, at the end, I'm going to be commenting on everyone's. Thank you very much. This is what? Group 6, is it? Okay.
Check.
Keep it close to your on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the transformative approach to customer relation management of a Gen AI CRM assistant. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are proposing here is that we're leveraging the powers of generative AI and LLM models to create a CRM such that it helps you strategize, personalize, and make your business strategy much better. Whether you're a large scale corporation or a small scale business, our Gen AI CRM assistant is here to elevate your customer engagement to a whole new level. Right. Let us firstly understand the CRM challenges that businesses face in today's world. Data overload, understanding customer preferences, and maintaining positive relations. Traditional tools often fall short, being rigid and time consuming. What we propose out here is our Gen AI CRM assistant. What it does, as mentioned earlier, that is utilizing Gen AI and LLM models to transform customer data into tailored solutions and actionable insights, evolving with your business needs. How does our model and our product help in transforming businesses? It enhances customer engagement, data-driven decisions, time and cost efficiency, and scalability. Let us look at two scenarios out here. Meet Matt, a worker working at Amazon who is engaged with customer relations and engagement. However, despite 15 cups of coffees, sleepless nights, and also missing his own best friend's birthday, is still at work due to the fact that he couldn't finish his work because he did not have a model that the other person on the left has. Meet Jen Ali, a CRM analyst using our model working at Flipkart, who finishes work only in 2 hours. Not only that, he got a promotion, and yes, he has time to spend with his family and even go for the barbecue dinner these guys have been wanting to go for months now.
Now, what sets Gen AI CRM Assistant apart? Our tool goes beyond analysis. It generates innovative strategies based on data. 2, adaptive learning. It continuously learns and adapts from new data and feedback, ensuring recommendations improve over time and also get personalized for you. 3, versatility. Our tool is versatile, catering to large corporations, SMEs, and influencers, providing value across diverse business cases, not just one. 4, natural language processing. It understands and processes customer feedback, reviews, and interactions in natural language, enhancing customer engagements and insight with ease. Transforming businesses with Gen AI CRM Assistant. What can it do? Enhance customer engagement, personalized strategies to engage customers effectively. 2, data-driven decisions. It makes informed decisions based on AI-generated insights. 3, time and cost efficiency. It automates routine tasks and focuses on strategic initiatives. And 4, scalability. It's an easily scalable solution from solo influencers to multinational corporations.
So I'm just elaborating on the fact that our assistant can help with both large corporations and with solo influencers. So with corporations, it can predict customer trends and automate their marketing campaigns, and also make it much more easier to streamline customer service. And with solo influencers, they will not require a team or any technical skills in order to understand their audience sentiments and automate their audience engagement. And they can also work on bettering their content strategies and their marketing strategies. We also have seamless integration with existing systems. As mentioned before, there is a quick setup. There is no professional technical knowledge required. Anyone can use this. It's user-friendly, and it's always up to date. It's always up to date. It has the real-time data, and it's always syncing. And it's scalable to fit businesses of all kinds. We aim to use GenAI to revolutionize CRM. And future features will include enhanced predictive analysis and intuitive customer interactions in order to proactively understand consumer sentiments. And since it evolves with every interaction, it gets smarter and is better suited to your needs the more you use it. Thank you.
Right. Before we finish, we want to emphasize on the point that our product is here not to replace people, as we saw within the example of Matt and Jen Ali. It's here to help people make them more efficient. And that's one of the most unique selling points of our product. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Brilliant time. Okay. Why don't we start with that side? Okay.
Right.
And we'll come to
Full
you.
question. So basically, number one, how are you basically doing anything different from someone says Salesforce or other CRM basically giants that exist in the space? Because they pretty much are already incorporating such things into their services, and they're very mature services. Which also leads into the second question: how are you gonna beat out the established competitors in this domain for adoption, right? Because the corporations are not going to like trust, like they don't usually trust new.
The essence of question got. Yeah. Next, just give it to him. Next at the end there. Yeah.
I don't know, but any so base. What do you mean the established CRM like Zoho and HubSpot? I'm going to take those examples. So what this is, like as you can see, we're basically giving them APIs, or it can be a standalone CRM tool for like maybe the solo influencers. But for the larger corporations, if they want to implement this along with the CRM tool that they're already using, which could be Zoho. Let's take Zoho for example. It doesn't. So what we're aiming to provide is a sentiment analysis of how much the users are going on a certain page, which is like data, or what kind of chat features they're using or not using, and what we can do to fix it. So the AI will provide solutions, and it keeps getting smarter. The solution is working or not. Instead of you doing it yourself or you trying to have a meeting, it'll basically give you an agenda, and like that will make your work.
Just to reiterate, they don't have these features as of now. So once
So, where exactly are you using generative AI in this? And how is it different from, even if you are using generative AI, how is it different from someone, say, Slack, who came in on the last lecture, trying to integrate everything, and you already have a product?
Okay, so generative AI, first of all, imagine analyzing all the data, which is basically generating like a good summary of like what all is going wrong with your corporation, or if you let's say you're an influencer. Secondly, generating solutions, trial and error. It's all doing that by itself, and that's how I think the generative AI will come into use. And instead of numbers, it might just give you a text, sort of like an analysis, which some people might find easier. CEOs of the company, they don't understand numbers that well. Obviously they do, but if you give them a certain text. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you've described an AI assistant really well. The problem is Salesforce, Zoho, and HubSpot also have AI assistants plugged in into their systems which are already being implemented. If y'all are better, great. How exactly are y'all better than all of these systems?
So basically, what Zoho and HubSpot currently have, as I have the Zoho tool, as I saw the dashboard, and this is how our team got to this idea. What they're using AI specifically for right now is using the chat feature. You know, like if you go on a website, there's a chat feature. You're not really chatting with a real person. You're chatting with an AI. Now that's not what we're going for. That everybody almost has perfected till now. Not perfected, but it's going like it's evolving. What we're doing is for the back end people like who are working in the corporations, this tool will get them the solutions. It's not consumer focused, it's supposed to be the corporation like people. Exactly.
Good evening to everyone. Our idea revolves mainly around using, okay, tell me, revolves mainly around generating fashion designs uh, and using them in um, large scale companies that create textiles to get better designs quickly and more efficiently. So, first, let's look at how the fashion industry has evolved. Before fast fashion, the consumers wanted something that lasts long and was made tailored to them. Um, was made tailored to them, and lately, after the late 20th century, that consumer demand increased, and that's how fast fashion came to be. Brands like H&M and Zara really redefined what turnaround times are between an idea and a product by really pushing the speed to them. So the current fashion industry in H&M and Zara works like this. The designers, hundreds of designers in the main offices analyze trends and design new designs. The planners then determine upon inventory levels to check if these designs are possible. And then the factory workers get to work, and then these products are distributed around the whole world. So that workflow has a really slow turnaround time, even though it's very fast, around 4 weeks. So our current plan is to eliminate the main pain point in the current flow, which is of designers having to analyze trends and having to wait for feedback, and using generative AI so that it can monitor more trends and come up with real-time designs, which the head designers can reinforce, uh, and it really use those generative AI to train on the company data and crack down on the company's consumer persona, so to create efficient designs which are very good and which will effectively reduce the turnaround times to approximately a week. So that includes the generative AI. About the non-generative AI, it's the standard boilerplate about how you would use trend forecasting and inventory management. This is a future of workflow thing. So this would be just basic optimization in the supply chain and customer insight, and really getting that data on the consumers really fast. So this is the current workflow that's going on. It's a bit less cost effective than it could have been. The creativity of the human design is limited, and using generative AI, we can really push these boundaries and streamline these processes. So that's about it. Yeah, yeah.
At the end of your presentation, you said that the creativity of human design is limited and we can push the boundaries using generative AI, but isn't generative AI also trained on that made in the past? So how is it really pushing the designs if you're just mixing and matching what humans have done?
Okay. You're not really mixing and matching what humans have done. You're mixing and matching what humans have done with the reinforcement of head designers. And you are purposefully training your language models on the company's data of the previous clothes and how much they have sold and how much they've not sold. And so not really.
How traditionally fashion designers are designing their products is they also have they also saw some dresses. So that number of dresses is limited. With AI, we can push that boundary. So they're essentially generating from what they saw in throughout their lifetime. So with generative AI, we can plug in the data more than what human can process. So that's why we can generate more than human.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. I had a question. So I think you mentioned something about, going from Notepad to store in, say, a week. Am I correct?
That's approximate.
Yeah. So basically, if you know, companies like Shein and H&M are already under fire for extremely fast tracking their production process, which lead to unfair labor practices or like basically sweatshops. How do you control for that? Because if you're making fast fashion just more
Yeah,
unsustainable.
so I'll get to that. So the effectively turnaround time of H&M and Zara right now is approximately 4 to 5 weeks. The so majority of the time, 3 to 4 weeks is based on the design. It takes a lot of trend analysis and design, and that's what we're really trying to crack down upon. And in other terms, sustainability, there is another concept in this that we could perhaps show these generative AI designs to the consumers themselves in the interfaces and have them select what they want. And as it is a, say, one of one piece, they're willing to pay a premium for it. And using that premium, we can also generate it with more eco-friendly materials like hemp and organic cotton. They're expensive. Not everyone can afford Sabya. Yeah, that's not the market that we're trying to go for. It's more of a large consumer base. So this is not a product. This is the future workflow that we've designed. Yeah. Yeah. This is not a product that we're designing. This is what we're showing that this could be a possibility in the future. Any other questions?
Okay, welcome everyone. We are Team Mimic Masters. Today we are going to present to you revolutionizing communication. So the video you're just watching, there's something very remarkable about this video. What you're seeing is AI trying to mimic the sense of humor and sarcasm of an actual person, which is a personality trait, right? This is just a glimpse of what we are trying to do at CloneCraft AI. Next slide, please. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? Two main things, hyper-personalization and automation, which are the future. Basically, individuals want assistance with personal tasks. They want to outsource their social interactions and overcome communication barriers. And businesses are constantly demanding more streamlined customer engagement. They want vast amounts of data analysis and scalability, and that's exactly what we're targeting. Next slide. So I won't get into the numbers, but what research has shown us is that digital cloning and voice cloning are both extensively growing in the coming years. Moreover, hyper-personalization is the future. In fact, with the advent of the AI age, it won't be surprising if in the near future, you see businesses competing for who's going to offer the most customizable experience to their customer. Next slide, please. So who is our target audience? Who are we catering to? Basically, anybody who struggles with time, efficiency, and interaction. So people in long distance relationships, busy professionals, frequent travelers, anyone who's isolated, or business multinational corporations or businesses who have a lot of emphasis on customer engagement, which is mostly all businesses. In terms of competitions, there aren't a lot of direct competitors in the market. There are many AI technologies who offer different technologies that we're integrating at our platform. But what really differentiates us is the use of generative AI. For example, these voice cloning technologies require you to input a script on the basis of which they clone your voice. But we use generative AI to generate text and audio in real time. Next slide, please. So what is the concept and functionality? Let's see how this exactly works, right? The first step is data collection. So CloneCraft has access to anything that your Google Drive has access to, anything your Google has access to. So your social media posts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any voice or any audio clips, videos, images that you upload to your Google Drive, but you do at any point have full control over what kind of data CloneCraft can access. It's also an iterative learning process. So there's a feedback loop, right? So any interaction that the clone has with you or your friends, colleagues, anyone, it will constantly take that into account and try to understand your personality better and fine tune itself. What the use of NLP basically means is two things. A, it can contextualize conversations, and B, it can perform sentiment analysis to gauge if the text or the whatever you're saying is happy, sad, and like respond accordingly. Scheduling means that you have the freedom to choose when your clone will be active, when it will interact. Privacy controls are really important. So you can you have full control over how your clone will work. So for example, if I want to set boundaries, if there's certain topics that I don't want my clone to engage in, then I can restrict keywords and be like, if this word is brought up, you don't continue the conversation. Next slide, please. So for the technology, as Saina talked, we'll collect all the data from the users. After that, we'll use deep learning algorithms to process the multimodal data that we have received. These algorithms will analyze the data for user personalities, preferences. After that, NLP algorithms powered by deep learning are used to analyze the voice recordings to create a digital clone of a person's speech pattern and communication style. The models will continually evolve by incorporating new data interactions. We are gonna use transformers like Word, GPT to more. So these are the various use cases. Who will use this? First thing is time zone differences in availability. Imagine a MNC who has employees all over the world with different schedules. This is going to be really helpful for them. Imagine a social media influencer who needs to constantly reply to comments, reply to their fans' messages, keep posting. This is again very helpful for them. You can completely outsource administrative and repeated tasks, and anybody who has social anxiety would really benefit from this. Next slide, please. Our major concern was cost optimization. So we have tried to come up with some strategy for it. First of all, our pricing structure is really efficient. I'll delve into that later, but it's highly customized. So that helps us cut costs. We will try to rigorously test open source models because they tend to be cheaper. But of course, proprietary tend to be more efficient. So our pricing model is basically, there's a basic
So, when you activate the clone, right? Is there any agency over what is being sent in that time? Like, if something is sent, or from as you something is sent, can you take it back?
Yeah, sure. So you have full access or full control over your clone, right? So you can review every conversation that your clone has had, and if you have any feedback on it, so we do encourage our customers to constantly interact with the clone, let it know what your personality is, what your boundaries are. If it engages in a conversation that you don't approve of, you can give feedback, and anyone who interacts with your clone will be aware that this is your clone and not you.
Okay.
Also, since we also one of the challenges was data privacy, storing and like collecting data. So we have given will open tier user consent and allow users to control over it. So like even on the granular data.
Moreover, I just to add it. Actually, we are not actually storing your data, but we are storing your data for a shorter time. We take your data and we use certain kind of model which is called GAN, Generative Adversarial Network, and we are going to create artificial data of yours. And after that, we are going to delete entirely your data, and we are going to train our model based upon the artificial data which we obtained from you.
Yes. Yes, I completely understand the company side of this, but you also mentioned long distance relationships and emotional things like that. How are you, like, I don't know how this makes sense to have a clone involved in it.
Okay, so I see the her and Black Mirror influences already. But on the one hand, if this model is sophisticated enough to replace a human, number one, you've created another human. Congratulations, now you have human rights issues to take into consideration because this is basically slavery. But if it's not that sophisticated, it's not going to be a human, then in that case, then it would not replace a human in any sufficient, like, in any convincing way. So, like, how do you? Yes.
I'll answer your question first. So, like we have been discussing in class, none of this is supposed to replace you. It's just supposed to assist you. So, at no point is our objective to completely throw you out of the picture and make this like another human being. I personally also have ethical concerns with that. It's just
the
the personal thing. So you're an individual, right? You have, suppose you're living in London, you're studying abroad, your time zones don't match, you still want to interact with your family, you want to keep them updated. Even as a professional, you're not a business, you're an individual, but you do have professional needs. In that sense, it can be a B2C business. I'm assuming that was your question.
Good evening, everyone. We are comic ITists, AI tists, whatever, ITists, and we hope you're having a good evening. And welcome to a presentation on Raya, Beauty for All. On the odd occasion that we all go shopping, we know that it's very enjoyable. It is truly an experience, but it's an experience that's robbed of us when we make purchases online. We at Raya are hoping to solve for that issue through our interactive and user-centric interface. The Raya interface makes use of the virtual try-on technology, prompting you to insert an image of yourself before presenting you with two choices. Do you know what you're looking for, or do you need a help? If you say that you need a help, then you will be taken to a virtual try-on assistant. You'll be taken to a virtual assistant Rio, who is powered with a speech-to-text generator and an LLM incorporating colloquial language to guide you through your selection. You just need to converse with Rio, and she will tell you what you might be looking for and what you might need. If you think that you know what you want, then simply enter some keywords. Maybe you want a red lipstick, or maybe you want to let us know that you have a skin condition. Our interface will provide you with some options. Suppose you look for red lipsticks, then you'll be provided with 3 lipsticks. And if you want more, then just click on it, and you'll be provided with a gradient, with a list of more gradients. Each time you click on a product of your choosing, it will be incorporated into a virtual try-on technology, and you will see what it looks like on the selfie image that you provide. After the checkout, after you make a purchase, you can go to a checkout counter, which is basically a wardrobe. Also, you can go to the next slide, please. You can go to the checkout, which is essentially a dressing table, except this is a dressing table of all our products. All the products will be blanched in white, but each time you make a purchase, it'll be colored. If you take a lipstick, it'll be colored red, powder, talcum powder, whatever, it'll be colored. And it's kind of encouraging the customer's urge to collect and complete. And it's kind of, even if you come for just a lipstick, you might end up leaving with purchase of 3 or 4 more products. The entire interface is powered by a visual technology model, which incorporates data about skin tone, facial features, and skin conditions to provide you with the kind of products that you might need, and also incorporates recommendation engines, which is powered by scientific data and product reviews. So, for example, again, if you have acne, then you might want to avoid certain products with certain chemicals, and our LLMs and visual data models will incorporate all of this into their recommendation engines before providing with our products. Our target audience is our young Indian women, ages 18 to 30, who are upper class, who have access to technology, who are educated, knowledgeable, and know how to navigate these channels. Based on that, we come to our obtainable market, which kind of leaves us with a revenue of 750 million US dollars through a guesstimate of capturing 30% of the total market in India. The costs, we are making use of a GPT-4 32K model, which kind of takes 0.06 dollar per 100,000 tokens, and $1.5 per 1,000 images it processes, and it leaves us with a cost of about less than like around $5 million, and the average retail margin is 25-30% in the Indian market.
When we look at this, we also look at like, is this an industry you want to enter? So just looking at some industry trends to provide more context. So what we see is 80% of clients are more willing to purchase from brands which offer personalized products. We also see that market leaders which use this normally end up leveraging this and getting 15% more revenue and 30% less marketing costs, which is really big in like businesses like this. We also see that virtual try-ons lead to 90% higher chances of selling the product when they're using an in-house shopping experience. And we also see like when they're using virtual try-ons, there's a 64% return drop. So like they don't return products as often. In terms of India, we see that the Indian beauty market is like will be roughly more than $28 billion by 2025. We also see that since our entire model is like e-commerce based, so we see that Redsure estimates that it'll be like at least 10 billion by 2027, and it'll make up like 33% of the whole market. And what we also see is that in the recent years, major D2C brands have grown a lot in India, at least, with like 3 to 4 years, them taking 3 to 4 years to reach like 100 crore USD. So INR. So I think that is another thing that will end up helping us when we enter this market.
That is precisely the problem that we're trying to solve. So our chatbot Rio is essentially supposed to be I'd say a face for like a salesman, like a salesperson, but only this is a salesperson that's also a professional makeup artist, that's also a professional dermatologist. So considering that it's been trained on a lot of makeup related concepts like color theory, it's been trained on color combinations, on warm tone, skin tone. Because of that, it can provide the best, what they think is the best recommendation for you. So in a way, it's even better than, I would say it's even more advanced than like a sales clerk. A clerk with limited information.
So again, at the very beginning of the interface, you will provide your image, right? And the AI, at the very beginning, you provide your image, and the AI make use of the visual tag to again map the image and make and potentially see things that you might not know about yourself. It obviously makes use of existing knowledge on color, skin tones, color theory, and etc. etc. But if these are visible things that the image can pick up on, then the AI will pick up on it and provide you a recommendation accordingly. And these visual things are, as we know, things that a makeup artist can look at as well. It's not something that a makeup artist can do, which the AI is not doing.
Yeah, it's not just like giving you makeup recommendations, but if it'll also give you skincare recommendations if needed, because it's trained in both.
It would, but I think the value that's being given here is that it's still picking up on a lot of other things, which at this point in the market, it's not really a thing that's happening because it does make use of the existing technology, right? So it does make use of the leading technology that we have in the market, which makes use of visual try-on. So even if it might not pick up on the smallest of the smallest, let's say acne, it will pick up on the general texture of the skin and kind of provide recommendations accordingly. And
AI adventure. So, next slide, please. Let's get started. So, there's a lack of student-friendly, adaptive, and personalized education content in India that prioritizes the student's learning outcome. With AI Adventure, we plan on changing that to implement AI into the system to revamp and help a student reach their full potential.
So we have three main modules or service propositions that we plan to offer. The first is educational content generation, because at any educational institute, the most important thing is the content that's being imparted. The second is student supervision, which we think is the second most important thing, because after the content delivery, one needs to assess how well that's been received, if it's been understood, and that sort of supervision is very important. And finally, career counseling, because for a student, the most daunting question is what next? And our AS enabled platform allows students to help them answer this question. So under educational content, we've come up with four main ideas in how generative AI can revolutionize the educational content being delivered. The first is simulations and virtual labs, because we think this has huge potential to actually make education more immersive. So for example, if you're studying about history, you can see the devastation of war, you can have a conversation with a freedom fighter from the past, or if you're learning about the impact of climate change, you can go into the future and see what is interested in uh, actually want to learn because they're interested in the content. The next thing is gamification and flashcard, which also makes students more engaged in the learning process. And finally, we're proposing that our AI platform will help eliminate the barriers of language, because a lot of educational content is restricted to certain languages, and through generative AI we can change this and allow that content to be accessible much more broadly.
So, talking about students and placing them as the first priority, here's how we plan on ensuring that student supervision and students are given the utmost importance through personalized assessments such as adaptive learning systems and personalized quizzes and tests, as well as coming with real-time feedback and natural language processing, which NLP-powered AI can assess written assignments, essays, or short answers. It can evaluate the depth of understanding, writing quality, and even offer suggestions for improvements, as that can't be handled by regular generative AI at the moment. Then, of course, there would be AI generated feedback and grading, which would not only be quick, but also it would be adaptive to the scale of the student and provide the weaknesses and positives of the student and their learning at the moment, then and there. So the most important part that we feel that AI can help with is career counseling. As we know, so India still needs about 1.4 million career counselors for the 315 million students to maintain a globally acceptable student to counselor ratio. In order to help with this, we believe that AI can be useful to analyze market trends as well as from the past and predicted future, and generate based on the student's skills and the student's weaknesses what fields would be suitable to them to provide a comprehensive report of what their future should look like. So yeah, that personalized information requirements as generated by AI.
you so much. But like many more things alongside, so our AI model can actually mix and match between them and show the student, teach the student according to all of their needs and not just one need.
Right, exactly. So the problem currently is that the content is not good enough. And with something like generative AI creating the content, not only can we increase the speed at which we're able to update the content, but we can also make sure that that same content is being delivered in different ways according to a student's interest. So it would solve both those problems. In fact, I think that's a really good example of where generative AI can help because as a student from a particular background, maybe you can only think of certain career paths. But looking at your skills, that AI will be able to recommend things that you might not be able to think of. And therefore, it's in fact expanding the horizons of the potential career paths a person can take. So it's not limiting, but actually encouraging them to do more things.
Okay, and then, basically, very simple formula in a sense. And I think, so first thing is the most critical thing, and I think one or two of you did that, okay, which was this is the problem we are trying to solve. Okay, that's the first thing. And then, second statement literally is this is the size of the problem. Okay, so it's a $10 billion problem, or it's a $200 million problem, or it's whatever. Third thing is this is what we are making to solve it. Okay, and the fourth thing is this is why we can do it. Now, the fourth one wasn't necessarily true in today's case because you guys can't say that I worked for 17 years in Google and therefore I've kind of come to do this or whatever. But just it follows like a simple kind of a thing, but it's very important to define a problem statement. Okay, and I think not everyone did that. Okay, and so just like one learning. Second, which I think the guys who were there day before, last session, were kind of emphasizing, saying that we are not going to solve the world's problems. We're going to keep this as narrow as possible. The temptation that most of you have had and most of us human beings have is to kind of let's add this also and let's add this also. And you know what? Let's do this also. And then, okay, fine, we've missed four more things. Maybe my product can do those four things also. No, let it do just one thing. Okay, just one thing. Okay, so for example, in the crop thing, for example, okay, I'm going to identify crop diseases. Period. In fact, not even that. I'm going to identify sugarcane crop diseases. Okay, in fact, not even that. I'm going to identify sugarcane crop diseases in Asia. There's, that itself, you will find actually is a huge problem. Okay, and will you do cotton? No, I won't do cotton. Okay, will you do grape? I'm sorry, I won't do grape. Okay, so narrow, 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 narrow. Okay, it's kind of the, and even if it means that it's not a $10 billion problem you're solving, but a $10 million, that's fine, because people know that once you do sugarcane, you'll be able to do cotton, you'll be able to do whatever else, you'll be able to do whatever else. That's point number two. Point number three is it's absolutely fine to say I don't know. Okay, because in a real life pitch, bullshitting gets you much less marks than saying I don't know. Okay, so again, our thing is anyone asks a question, you're not expected to know the answer for all the questions that have been asked to you. Obviously, I mean, there's not like, and you're not like superhumans, all of you. Okay, so you're like, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. We should, let's put this down as one of the things in the roadmap or whatever. Okay, like in the last bit itself, in the last, since it's fresh in my mind, I think one of you said maybe it can, or in that beauty thing, will it be able to figure out what kind of person I am, what my height is, etc., etc. No, it won't. I'll have to enter that first, and then only it will solve the problem. Okay, so that's perfectly fine to say. Okay, so that was point number three. Okay, point number four. Actually, these were my 3 points and the structure in that sense. I just wanted to kind of, give some more specific feedback in a sense. So, there are some very big areas for generative AI which have already been identified. Okay, which are like the low hanging fruits, if it may. And I think we covered most of them. Some of them we haven't, okay, in today's this thing. So gaming is a huge area. Okay, in fact, shitloads of work is happening in, and it's kind of probably going to be one of the first areas which is going to be picked up, and including things like through through an LLM scenario, you even define how the game should end. So the game play is different for every single person who's kind of playing it, etc., etc. I mean, my belief, I haven't read it anywhere, but my belief is that's why Microsoft is spending $75 billion to buy Activision. Okay. I mean, because they see this, which obviously we don't, that like see this, how the whole AI part, generative AI part, and AI part can kind of, and there are other things also they're doing with gaming business models, the pass and stuff like that. But I think that's a huge area. Education, which came in pretty much at the end, is another very large area. And I mean, I didn't get the time, but where was the education team? Somewhere. Yeah. So, I mean, Khan Amigo, for example. Okay. I mean, what I would have said, for example, you were pretty much going towards that. But the simple thing is, I'm going to create Khan Amigo for the Indian student. Okay, over. Everyone knows what you're going to try and do. Okay, and maybe everyone doesn't know Khan Amigo, so you would have spent like 30 seconds saying that, look, Sal Academy kind of did Khan Amigo. Khan Amigo is by Salman, what is it called? Sal Academy. Salman Academy, right? Sal Khan. Khan Academy. It's my, I got up in the morning, I went to 2 meetings, then I took a flight from Mumbai to here. Then from the airport, I sat down into the car and spent 3 hours, 15 minutes coming here. And I'm older than you. Okay, so therefore, Khan Academy. But Salman Khan's Khan Academy has Khan Amigo. Khan Amigo is this basically generative AI powered, hyper personalized one for one student assistant, okay, tutor. And so one of the things is, to keeping it narrow, would be I'm going to create a Khan Amigo for career counseling, okay, for example, and keep it there, okay, because education is a big area. Retail is another large area, not as large, frankly, as gaming or education or healthcare, which wasn't talked about today. My view is healthcare is going to be probably probably the largest area, okay, for generative AI. In fact, lots of the early use cases have happened in and around healthcare. So that is something to think about. Fashion is good area, especially the production of fashion. I was happy to see one group very happy to see one group focus on, which was the group, which was the work style thing. Yeah, yeah. Rather than the, like I'm not trying to create something new. I'm just trying to change the way people work this time. The only, if I may say so, suggestion I had is you should have said that upfront. Many of us didn't know it till the end. Okay, so just because of the flow, everyone was thinking that you are also kind of trying to create a new company. And I think in fashion and a few others, um, there is this potential to kind of just change the way work is done. Okay, in these companies. Jugalbandi I referred to, which was the group I referred to Jugalbandi to. Yeah, right. And you were the farmer group, right? Yeah. So Jugalbandi has come out, and it would have been good again in a normal pitch or whatever. You know what? I'm trying to create a Jugalbandi for X. Okay. One of the things which works brilliantly in all these pitches is I'm trying to create an X for Y. Just everyone understands. Okay, and that's the way to, like there's an Uber for X kind of scenario, for example. Okay, I'm trying to create a chat GPT for something. Okay, is kind of just completely works. Okay, it just encapsulates everything. Khan Amigo for whatever. Okay, so Jugalbandi, some of you might know, generative AI, big use case, India specific, how people in underprivileged, underserved can kind of come to know what are the government schemes for them through a generative AI app, which understands vernacular language and dialect and gives them the answer back in their same language. Okay, and because there are, I forget the number, but there are actually hundreds of government schemes out there. Now, we don't know the government schemes. You don't expect like one poor 80-year-old widow in some slum to know that, what she can avail of. And this kind of helps. And in my opinion, there's a whole thing of Jugalbandi of X also. Okay, there's a Jugalbandi for primary healthcare. There's a Jugalbandi for education. There's a Jugalbandi for multiple such things. Problem statement, I think it was group 1, right? Which was the group? Which was the Reify group? Yeah, so you kind of have put a problem statement, which is good. Okay, so that. So that, yeah, CRM is a huge area. Okay, it's a huge area for contact centers. In fact, are going to be amongst the first which are going to get. The other thing also I liked in a couple of presentations, I think I've put them down, is that you said that how a metric will change at a very high level. 6 weeks will become 1 week. Okay, for example. Okay, or something else will become something else. Okay, you don't need to kind of go into therefore it will be $1 billion this or whatever. But that just makes it very simple for some to get interested. These are hooks. Okay, X of Y is a hook. A metric change from something to something else is a hook. Okay, which then prompts people to ask more questions and hopefully invest going forward. The clone thing was very interesting. The clone thing possibly is the one. Where were the clone guys? At the back. Actually, very appropriately. Okay, but anyway, the clone thing possibly. I mean, I love the idea. Okay, and I think it's another big, slightly more futuristic use case. Okay, but I think it's the one fraught with the maximum ethical issues amongst all the 8-10 that were talked about today, but possibly with the highest potential. Okay, one, if we can kind of sort those out as the highest potential of, because you're suddenly saying that, as someone else pointed out too, I'm creating new humanity in some sense, okay, but without it being human. And the ethical issues of agency, the ethical issues of, they're going rogue, okay, and so a bunch of ethical issues. But even before generative AI, work had started. Okay, the Replica, I don't know, have any of you used or seen Replica? Replica AI? No. It's Replica has been around for 5-6 years now. Now later on, recently they have, thank you so much. They have, this is what I needed here. Okay, they have infused generative AI into it. Replica is a very, very realistic, a realistic friend who's almost like your clone. Okay, and actually there's been one suicide already. Okay, because replica, the person, woman in this case, was very sad that her replica didn't love her back. Okay, and she kind of committed suicide. So, but there's a lot of work happening on that, but I think it'll be a fraught area, but it's a very, very interesting area to see how those problems uh, can be solved. The other thing, which I think I would have loved it if people would have picked up, I gave one little hint also somewhere in the middle to one of the groups, saying, just I think the one big word which is going to become part of our vocabulary is the co-pilot word. Okay, about is it pilot, autopilot, co-pilot? Each of these three things actually in an AI human context mean three different things. Okay, and so obviously Microsoft has put its might behind the whole Copilot concept, which basically Copilot is augmented reality, right? So it's you and someone else. Autopilot is only the AI doing stuff, like flying a plane, autopilot. Pilot, the human being is the pilot in this sense, and you have a co-pilot in that sense. So, and for example, the beauty thing, the last but one, you guys did the beauty thing, right? You were actually creating a co-pilot in that sense. Okay, and similarly, the retail guys, Refi was it? You were creating a co-pilot, okay, in a retail shop, okay, for you. I also thought that the fashion, oh, you were again the fashion guys. I mean, you'd said something different, which was changing the future or whatever, but just, I think there are going to be businesses created on just products which will create personalized tens of thousands of fashion possibilities, just options, which can then be personalized using AI, not generative AI. So generative AI creates stuff, diverges, and then AI is used to converge into whatever. So great. Those were some of my comments that were there. As I had said in the beginning, yeah, we have some time. Obviously, if we need to spend it, otherwise I'm cool. But I just wanted this to be open. I mean, I just wanted to, from my end, I just wanted to get sense of feedback, because I suspect that this generative AI course is going to continue for a few terms. Okay, unlike the metaverse course, which had a stillborn, which was kind of one thing and over because the metaverse died soon after. But I would love to know. Feedback would be good. Also, in terms of some of the things that you liked, some of the things that you didn't, some of the things could be better. But other than that, any questions on today or otherwise? And then just for the next 30 minutes, I would like us to have the distance between the lid and the bottom of the laptop to be minimized. Which basically means if you can shut this down, okay, for a bit, just to have a human, non-machine, non-screen conversation. Yeah. I wouldn't use ChatGPT academically. I would actually use 30 other products which have been built on ChatGPT academically. There's a wonderful guy on Twitter, Bilal something. You'll find him. You just type Bilal on Twitter. Bilal is amazing. He focuses, Bilal Ahmed, Bilal Mohammed something, okay? Bilal focuses on just telling you how to use generative AI, GPT related stuff for academia, period. Okay, and he has just these, so he's very clear. He says, don't use ChatGPT, you'll die. I mean, I tried using it for my legendary Cambridge thesis, and it actually gave me 5 citations for one particular question. All 5 were wrong. Okay, not even one was correct. All 5. So Bilal's thing, and there are multiple. There's, for example, I learned from him a particular product called Elicit.ai. Some of you might have used it. Elicit is built on GPT, but is a great way to, and when you use it, you'll understand how it's a great way to do Google Scholar in a much better way. Okay, but follow Bilal. He actually has a paid course also, okay, which I haven't taken, but that's how he monetizes this thing. And use that. Yeah. Huh? I don't fully remember. So see, if you don't find it, just write to me. Bilal Ahmed, Bilal Muhammad, Bilal. I don't remember his thing. I'll have to look. Ah, he's amazing. On him, yeah. So I think I should collect some royalty from Mushtaq Bilal, but he's amazing. Okay, for academia. Okay, other stuff. Good question. I was hoping someone would ask that, right? You know, the metaverse was, and I said it also for, I think you were there, okay, and you know, to a very large extent was a marketing spin by Meta on an existing technology, okay, which was basically AR VR. Okay, so there was always AR VR, and AR VR is one of those technologies like blockchain, which is taking its time to find potential. You know, it's taking like uh, more time than impatient human beings would give it. If you think about AI, I mean, generative AI, sure, we've learned about it now, but generative AI, what is it built on? It's built on 60 years of AI, on deep learning, on natural language processing. So AI, to achieve today's iconic, miraculous status, has been around since 1956. Blockchain, AR, VR are all 2005, 2010 kind of technologies, right? And in my opinion, they'll need more time. Look at any technology, it's like a 30, 40 years it takes. So, the metaverse, to me, the metaverse was just a name. I believe in AR, VR. I don't necessarily believe in Zuckerberg's definition and vision for the metaverse. That is my view. I'm going to write about this, but I'm trying to develop a hype to reality ratio in technologies. Okay. And hype is there in every tech. Okay. In fact, it should be there. Hype drives innovation. Hype drives investment. Okay. Hype drives users, early innovators to come in, without which nothing is going to happen. But if it's the ratio which is important. In the metaverse, okay, hype to both tha. And you could measure it probably by the number of articles written, the number of keywords, whatever, word clouds, whatever. But if you went to a Zuckerbergian metaverse thing, you would find 73 people there. Okay, in his. While here, there's even more hype, but you actually have 300 million people using it. And so the reality is also huge, and therefore the ratio is less. It's all right. Yeah. Huh. Who came out? Apple. Yeah. 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 Good question. See, one of the things, if you read articles around the time that it came, was that Tim Cook would fire anyone who would say the word metaverse. Okay, I mean, when I say fire, not fire out of the company, but he was like totally against that vision, which was a full immersed virtual reality vision with people with no legs for some reason. Okay, I mean, if you saw that, it was very imperfect, and in the Apple case, they haven't even called it virtual reality or augmented. Yeah, they've called it spatial computing. So it's a very different vision. It's a different thing they are executing for. And I do believe that has more legs, okay, because it combines reality with the virtual reality in a sense. Obviously, it's bloody expensive. They say that particular thing is the single most complex technology gadget ever made until now. Okay, it's just very complex, and Apple is now going slow on it because they're They're finding it very difficult to build. But that's how stuff starts. You and then Arindam. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Meta has been very strong on AI for the longest time. Jan LeCun, have you guys heard of Jan LeCun or you follow him? He's one of the guys to follow. He has a particular viewpoint which sometimes I or you might not agree with. He's too much on the optimism side. But Jan LeCun won the Turing Award along with uh, Yu Shui Bingo and the man who doesn't sit down. What's the name of the guy? The godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton, by the way, is my AI hero. He's like my AI hero. Okay, so these three won the Turing Award, which is like the Nobel for AI. And Jan LeCun has been in Meta for a while, and they've actually done really amazing stuff, all llama stuff, etc., etc. And so I think they are much better positioned in AI than a completely new AR, VR, metaverse kind of thing. Now, whether now, I've never been a fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not on Facebook. I got out of Facebook. I got out of Instagram because I just don't believe in that business model, and therefore this AI will just make that business model, in my eyes, even more dangerous, okay, than the current one. So it'll be like totally hooked rather than being just hooked. But I think they'll do a good job at doing that. Yeah, sorry, there was someone here, and I'll come back. Who was here? Arindam was here, huh? Moving on. Yeah, good. AGI. Everyone you'll ask this question to, you'll get a different answer. Actually, every day you'll ask everyone, you might get a different answer. Okay, it'll depend a little bit also on the alcoholic spirits imbibed before the answer. But since I'm only doing a green tea thing, okay, my view, and this is only strictly my view, from everything one has read and this and that. So for example, let me just before my view give you my guru's view, which is Geoffrey Hinton. By the way, Geoffrey Hinton is a very interesting man. Okay, he's about in his 70s now. He's British but settled in Canada. And Geoffrey Hinton is called the father of deep learning. He created deep learning. But to create deep learning, and this is indirectly answering your question, he kind of went away from AI and actually spent 10 years, 10 whole years studying the human brain. And there he found neural networks, etc., and he kind of brought that neural network architecture from the human brain to this. He's also very interesting because he's just very interesting things. But for the last 17 years, he's not sat down. He doesn't sit. He either stands or lies down. He has a problem in his back, and which means he can't do aircrafts. And so whoever wants him has to send an aircraft where, he'll be strapped on like this. He does trains only. Every interview of his, he's standing. He can't sit down. So the man who can't sit down. Anyway, that's the interesting part. But Geoffrey Hinton is like the sane, grounded voice of AI. Okay, and he, before ChatGPT, had said that singularity, AGI, is about 30 to 50 years away. In one of the interviews recently, he has said that the probability of AGI happening in less than 5 years is non-zero. It's a very engineer speak. Okay, so, my view is that no one identifies AGI, or no one defines AGI. There's no one definition of AGI. Everyone has a different definition of AGI. And there's, at the lowest end, the definition is that in one specific thing, it will always do better than a human being. And the highest end is that it will be more intelligent than all human beings put together on Earth. Okay, now that is not going to be achieved, in my opinion, okay, because of all the reasons. But I think a certain level of intelligence, now whether we call it AGI or not, will be. What I am convinced, though, which a few people aren't, is that while intelligence might get achieved, consciousness will not. And I think we've spoken about that. little bit. If you're interested, and if you haven't already, maybe I mentioned it, you should look at the Sparks of AGI paper by Microsoft Research. And don't read the paper, it's incomprehensible and it's 100 pages. But there are a couple of videos of it. It's kind of very interesting and it kind of makes you believe that it is possible. Yeah, there was someone there, I think. You were there, huh? Mm. Have you seen the social network? The thing? I mean, I so just lost it after seeing that and a couple of other such things and reading about. See, my problem is not as much with privacy being violated than being that violating privacy is the basic business model of the network. If they don't violate privacy, they have no reason to exist from a profitability and a revenue standpoint. They cannot exist. So violation of privacy, getting your data through hook or by crook, making you sign those things is basic to their existence. Okay, so I have a major problem with the business model of the social network, not the social network itself. Same. I have tried, I mean, that's where I failed. I concede defeat. I tried many times to get out. I've not been able to. And I rue the day that Mark Zuckerberg bought it. Okay. Because then at least I would have had a clean conscience that I'm not in any Zuckerberg's walled gardens. But coming to your question, look, my thesis in Cambridge was focused on privacy and in a different context. But again, what I found in my limited work that I did is that unfortunately, even privacy as a word has a different meaning in different countries, different cultures, okay, different generations, different contexts. The way we define privacy in India is very different from the way the world defines privacy in the West. The West privacy concept arises from a particular paper and judgment many years back, which was called right to be left alone. So the Western world says that I have a right to be left alone. In the Eastern world, we have no right to be left alone. In fact, society doesn't want you to be left alone. Okay, and it's a very, and so it's very difficult. And I think every culture and every country will need to have their own privacy norms in a sense. And unfortunately, there's no answer to what do we do therefore. I've written a little bit on how we can have different business models for social network. Like my belief, frankly, is in Twitter, for example, okay, which I'm on, and Musk one day is going to destroy it, but until it's there, okay, X or Twitter, I would very happily pay $1 a year. Okay, $1 a year is nothing, okay, to get the value that I get out of it. That's what it will take, frankly. WhatsApp used to charge earlier, before Zuckerberg, $1 a year from iOS users. And if you think of WhatsApp has what? 3 billion users. Now, $3 billion, okay, just as single subscription revenue, they don't need, and then you can do a little premium, some features, etc. You can take that to maybe instead of $1 a year, maybe someone will pay $1 a month or $5 a year. It's nothing. So, we need to look at these business models now, rather than just stealing data and, monetizing that. And there are other such business models. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Creating nudes, creating stuff, yeah. In fact, there's a name for it. Mm. Well, deepfakes, but the nude part of deepfake has another name now. So yeah. I was recently with a guy who's also from Cambridge, who's actually spent his entire career focusing on just deepfakes, and within that, focusing on this bit. Okay, when the internet was invented many years back, it had no business model, right? I mean, people had all these servers lying around, DARPA, this, that, whatever. But how do you pay for the internet? And actually, the first business model for the internet was what? It was pornography. People paid for porn, okay, earlier on in the internet. People paid for quote unquote live porn. And that's how, money started gotten generated in the internet, and then other business models, Amazons and the Facebooks and the ad supported ones happened. I don't blame technology for this. I blame us humans for this. That pretty much every time a new technology comes in, it's used in these kind of extremely bad ways, right? But I don't think there's a way out of this. Now, what will happen is, and as it becomes more and more, now people are working overtime, both the big tech companies and startups, which will, are getting funded, is to create what are called classifiers. Okay, so that automatically detects that this has been done by a AI model, and at least it kind of watermarks it and says that it is. Now that doesn't help the poor woman, okay, but at least it kind of says that this is not her. Okay, this is whatever, and so many of these more will come, but it's an arms race here. But that's a very, 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 very big problem. It's an unbearable, terribly bad problem. Military. What do you mean by interesting? Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to ask? Laws, laws. So you know what laws are besides law and order? Laws are lethal autonomous weapons. And there's a guy called Professor Stewart. It's my Mumbai trip plus 3.5 hours. British. Anyway. Not Boston. Stewart something. He runs something called the Future of Life Institute. Okay, and he focuses on military and laws, and he's been like canvassing for the last almost a decade of creating a global framework on AI use in the military and how to prevent these lethal autonomous weapons. One of my colleagues in my course in Cambridge, who was ex-army, German army, was also focusing on that and kind of doing stuff. Look, they're both sides, as in everything. Already the US, to an extent the UK, China definitely, are kind of have so-called quote-unquote robot armies. They already exist, okay? They're not talked about, they're not kind of, they have swarms, drone swarms, little swarms which can kind of, and there are actually people who, obviously there are lots of people who say that, creating these is terrible and where is human agency? And the way people are saying is that we're going to create them, saying that, look, this will not kill until the final, just before the kill thing, a human being has to intervene, as if the human being has great intentions. Okay, but the proponents of lethal autonomous weapons, and they're actually proponents. I mean, if you look at it very logically, the thing is, people are saying that the future will be that Russia and Ukraine will be sending out their robot armies to kill each other. And then whoever robot army wins, wins the war. And so, it's actually good because people aren't getting killed. It's robot armies getting killed. Secondly, there are also proponents saying that the split-second decision which will be taken by a robot will always be better than a human being. And so if you see the hospital getting destroyed in Gaza Strip, for example, the people who are saying that, look, if this was a lethal autonomous weapon, they would have recognized this is a hospital and would have overflown it. Well, I'm just saying they're the proponents, okay? So they're both sides. I obviously, I mean, look, I believe that they're the worst possible thing. AI in warfare is like terrible, disgusting, but it's always interesting to see, both sides. It's a huge area. I'm not an expert. Professor Stewart, who shall remain unnamed, is one. And there are many other. Yeah, so you and you. Okay. Stuart Russell. Yeah. Yeah. Drones have been, again, drones are now, autonomous drones are being used for at least a dozen years now, if not more. The thing is that they're keeping on getting more and more powerful, and the drones are still being managed by a guy sitting in Montana or whatever. Okay, kind of, there's someone sitting there is kind of doing but then autonomous drones, yeah, so it's true. Sorry, you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question about how AI would be utilized like in academia specifically.
Yeah?
Like you said that AI will be used massively in healthcare in the future, right? Is it possible for AI to generate new research? Like, does that, because that kind of like completely obliterates what scientists do. Can can that ever actually happen that they can find actual concrete research that has real life value, or is AI something that is not capable of coming up with those?
Today's AI isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's what. So if it's very, my knowledge of AI comes from listening to great people. Great being a subjective word, but and there are people on multiple sides of the spectrum, right? So if you listen to or read Mark Andreessen, of Andreessen Horowitz, he's recently brought out something called the Techno Optimist Manifesto, okay, which will make you cringe, but still, okay. But as per the Techno Optimist Manifesto, thank you very much. So please, for the great dictator himself. Okay, thanks for that. We're also wrapping up in a couple of minutes, actually. But the optimists on AI, in fact, Mark Andreessen says, along with many others, that the greatest threat to humanity is stopping the progress of AI. Okay, so just accelerate it. He calls them decelerants. He calls the people who are stopping and these are some of his arguments. That AI will GPT-7 theoretically will actually do some original fundamental research and tell you how to do nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
For example.
Also, something like clones could.
Or clones, for that matter. Yeah, sure. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know whether it's going to be. All I know is today it's not possible, but it could be possible. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah, both of you. Yeah. My clone. I'm thinking of having a clone. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for, yeah.
Hopefully, if it's being offered like the next few semesters, could you incorporate some more of the technical side of things? Like I know we had speakers with like incredibly like famous technical backgrounds, but we didn't really get much of that material to deal with in the course.
Okay, no, good. Thank you for that.
And like I wanted to like ask, which is the, I mean, it's from the ethics like side of things, but which is your most favorite paper that you've read so far in your master's course?
Oh man. I have, I have this philosophy which I call moveon.org. Okay, so it's after a company which is moveon.org. Okay, I like finish it and I'm like, gone. but there have been some incredible papers that I have had the opportunity to read through. I can't choose one. Mine for one. Okay. It's like the whole Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde had a famous statement, which Oscar Wilde was, by the way, he's from Cambridge. He was good at saying pithy, funny stuff, and he said that whenever I want to read a book, I write one. So whenever I want to read a good paper, I I can't answer that. Yeah.
But you would also ask us to learn.
One of the things I've figured out is that everyone needs to have a bespoke thing. There's no one thing. And there are lots of these how-to books. For example, people say that there has been actual real research, multiple researches, which have shown that if you wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, you'll become the CEO of a company. Okay, sometime. Okay. You'll be super successful. And actually, if you see, say, Tim Cook's schedule, okay, and there's actually a book written on just schedules of CEOs. Okay, and so if you see these people's schedules, all these, I was recently seeing one of these big oil companies CEO wake up at 3:45 a.m. Okay, 1.5 hour of gym after that. Okay, something. Office at 6:30 a.m. Okay, whatever. So look, I'm saying, it will work for certain people. It might not work for certain people. I do believe getting up early actually is a good thing. It really, really, scientifically, it kind of has proven through multiple researches. But anyway, what do I do, which I would like people, again, it's up to you, but I always I make a list in the morning. Okay, I always have a list. Okay, and I derive great satisfaction from crossing off stuff. Okay, it's amazing satisfaction. And it's a kind of a rolling list, and I've been having it since 25 years now. Okay, a list to kind of, and so everything is captured, both for personal stuff. I also am, because I have to multitask a lot, and I'm also a huge user of the calendar. I tell people if it's not in my calendar, it's not in my life. It doesn't exist. Okay, so it's not there in the calendar, I'm not going to be doing that, whatever it is. So, well, it might not work for you. I'm just saying it works for me. Last question of the day.
I think it's a very basic question to ask, but how do you generally balance, like how to deal with information overload? Like inboxes are filled with mails, and there's so many newsletters to catch up on.
Well, the real answer is I don't manage. Okay. For me, frankly, what has become a bigger problem than email is all the messenger apps. Okay, especially WhatsApp, etc. People have moved away from working on email, okay, to actually working on WhatsApp, which is a big problem because with an email it's there. With WhatsApp it's gone away. After a conversation, etc., it's gone away. So I, after a very long time, have learned the ability and built a talent to say no. Because you kind of have 20 things, and I've learned that it's far more important what not to do than what to do. And so I am very ruthless many times, like our friend Saksham, okay, at just killing stuff which I don't want to do and just not doing it. But letting people know that I'm not going to do it also, which usually works actually because people, whatever. So that's how from a task viewpoint. From an information viewpoint, I'm as overwhelmed as everyone else, frankly. But what I try and do is that I actually, again, in my calendar, there's actually about 45 minutes to an hour every day, which is just used for reading up bookmarked stuff, and that's the best I can do, to be honest. Okay, so we had decided we're going to end a little early today, okay, purely because of me. So thank you very much. Thanks for being here in time mostly, and for today's presentations and for everything. Please feel free, I think someone was asking that, to get in touch with me. If you want to, you can write to me. Twitter and LinkedIn work very well. Okay. Obviously, I might just say no to you also. Okay, but it would work. And I also wanted to, just before I kind of go, I wanted to give a round of applause, not to all of us, but to Vrinda. Okay, for managing everything so well. In this course, I've been super light touch comparatively because she's been, really kind of managing everything so well. So thank you very much. And thanks everyone for being here. Thank you.